you get triggered by this, then you might be a COVID-19 idiot.
Oh, I'm not triggered by the mask, or triggered that you are wearing a mask. I'm triggered at people who basically come up to my face and yell at me and force me to wear a mask.
Man, my glasses are literally already fogging up.
Hey. If you're pro-mask, you should not be complaining about that.
I thought today we would sit back and react to some of these morons and then debunk all of their complete bullshit that they're spreading.
Hold on to your butts.
So first up, we have this tweet from notorious right-wing bimbo and grifter Ashley St. Clair. Ashley St. Clair, her job is literally to just regurgitate every single talking point that the right wants to hear, whether she actually personally believes it or not. She does not give a fuck about truth. All she's trying to do is gain followers and gain money. Again, she's like a soulless right-wing bimbo.
Jeez, getting a little dicey on the insults, aren't there? And, also...
Anyway, she tweets, I don't know who needs to hear this, but cloth masks and bandanas around your face do absolutely nothing. Well, isn't that cute? Ashley St. Clair spreading legitimate false information to her hundreds of thousands of followers. Very responsible, Ashley. Congrats. You really should have just stuck with the bimbo thing, not try to get into politics. You're not doing too well.
And if we look at your Twitter post, you write, I don't know who needs to hear this, but real Ashley St. Clair is dumber than a sack of rocks. Stop bitching about wearing a damn mask, Karen. The science is in. Masks do work. And if we go back to her Twitter post, she didn't say, masks in general are useless. She went after specifically the cloth and bandanas.
So there have been multiple studies now on wearing masks and whether or not they are effective. And I understand the original confusion because originally we were told masks don't work and now we're being told they do work. So I get it, it was confusing at first, but it's pretty concrete now that wearing masks help.
It's concrete to me that people who tell us these things don't know what the hell they're talking about. Dr. Fauci told us not to worry about it because he wanted to make sure that the healthcare workers weren't depleted of masks when they need it for their job. So that's why he said, don't worry about it. Now he's saying, yeah, you may as well put them on. And I think at one point he wanted us to wear goggles too. That guy's a nut.
One study estimated that states that issued mandates between April and mid-May averted as many as 230,000 coronavirus cases.
Oh, Hunter, my poor boy. You're not even gonna, fact check that? I mean, you're just gonna take Market Watch's word for it instead of looking it up yourself. Ugh. Guess it's up to me to do a little duck hunting. This little study comes from healthaffairs.org.
A separate study estimates that nearly 45,000 U.S. deaths from coronavirus could be prevented by November if 95% of the population wore masks.
This study comes from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation at the University of Washington. And Hunter, how could you let this one word slip right by you? If 95% of the country wore a mask, then the death count would be small. But here's the thing. You're not going to be able to convince 95% of the country to put on a mask. There is no frickin' way. They may sound good, but don't expect it to happen.
And to address Ashley St. Cuck's delusional take, specifically, it says right here, a cloth mask, bandana, or scarf is better than not being protected at all. Importantly, they provide a barrier to the respiratory droplets that could come in contact with the wearer.
So just wear them because it's there? Okay.
So before you trust even a single word this dumb bimbo ever tweets, make sure you fact check her because it's just factually incorrect. Masks do help, they do work, and everybody should just help out and wear a mask.
Just remember, guys, he got triggered over a tweet over something that she was very specific on, and here he is being very general about it. And as for that fact checking, I already did that. Thanks to Florida Atlantic University and Duke University, both of them have done their tests and come to the conclusion that those two items that she specifically said on her tweet are crap. Well, they're crap. If you look back at my Young Turks response where they were talking about the masks, and at the end of my video, I showed you a clip of Dana Lash basically reading from the report by Florida Atlantic University saying that it's crap.
Here's a meme that's been shared around showing confirmed cases in these Middle Eastern areas. And then they show this meme of Muslim girls saying, worn face coverings for their entire life and still reported to have COVID-19. Think, America, think. I don't actually have to get into why this is just wrong, right? Not everybody in these countries are wearing face coverings. Only women are forced to wear face coverings for their entire life because they live under an oppressive religion known as Islam.
Correct!
We also know that men are more likely to contract coronavirus, so the fact that women were forced to wear face masks their entire life and then they still have confirmed cases, it's not the gotcha that I think the creator of this meme thought it was.
Well, it's pretty obvious that those countries are, third world countries, so don't expect them to have, the best healthcare around. And there's always violence just out the wazoo, be it, domestic violence or even terrorism. I mean, hell, in Afghanistan, I heard last week that there was a car bombing, 30 dead and 24 injured. And a thought came to mind. Do you think those 24 people that were sent to whatever hospital is still, up, before they can even get saved, stitchings or, put a body part back in place, that the first thing that needs to be done is to get checked for, how did Tree of Logic say it? The koofy koof. So of those hundreds of thousands of cases that's on the meme right there, you think most of those are the thousands of people that are sent to hospitals to get treated for something besides the koofy koof? But before they even get that done, they have to be checked for the koofy koof. I mean, that's why in America, that's why we have, what are we at? Are we almost at 10 million cases? Of those 10 million people, 90% of them should not have been tested at all. Because it's people who are going in for something not related to the koofy koof, but here they are. They have to get tested for it. And apparently, the people who, I guess they say that, oh, he does have it, it's very, very small. I mean, the way they do their image checking, they expand the image and they look around until they actually find the koofy koof, strain. And then they find out, oh, wait, it's way too small, or its DNA structure is not up to par to actually do anything, or, hey, it's not moving. Oh, it's dead. This is why I don't believe in the cases.
I now present to you a story in 4 parts. Richard Rose says, "Let make this clear. I'm not buying a fucking mask. I've made it this far by not buying into that damn hype." The next slide shows him in June at a very crowded pool. "This COVID shit sucks. I'm so out of breath just sitting here." Richard Donald Rose III tragically passed away on July 4th. 2020. Now, it's very easy to laugh at people like this because, natural selection, right? But let's remember that this guy, he's a real person. He has a family. He has parents. He has people around him that love him. And it's really sad that someone like this passed away because of all the misinformation that's been floating around.
And if he even did wear the mask, would he still be safe from the koofy koof? Seriously, Melania Trump was pro-mask the whole time, and she was nowhere without it, and she still got it. How the hell do you explain that? This virus is basically a hit or miss. You may get it, you may not get it. Same goes with the flu or just a common cold. You may get it or you may not. Or a stomach bug, anything. It's a hit or miss.
Here's another funny one. Florida County Commissioner who voted against masks in hospital with COVID-19. Another brilliant example of karma, bitch. Paul Waldron, the commissioner for St. Johns County, just south of Jacksonville, Florida, has tested positive for COVID-19 and is currently in the hospital in critical condition. So again, sad. We don't want to see people losing their lives. We don't want to see people getting sick, but Natural selection. This guy might be next up for a Darwin Award. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yes, I see. Good news, everyone!
Florida has emerged as a coronavirus hotspot in the United States. As of July 10th, the state ranks 4th among the states with the highest number of overall confirmed cases. The state has averaged about 9,087 new cases each day for the last 7 days. Ironically enough,
Oh no! Hunter, you didn't! You went through Newsweek? Oh my god, you poor boy. I should point out that Hunter posted this video on July 13th of this year. So if you look up articles from July to now, you should find sources that will say that, everything's declining. The death count, the cases, Florida is doing fine.
we have a bunch of Florida residents right here condemning their city council because they wanted to put a mask mandate in place, I guess. So let's go ahead and address some of these idiots' arguments.
Appalling that each and every one of you sitting up there as human beings, part of the human race, the only race that we have, would suggest to muffle people, to put masks on our face, to keep us from breathing oxygen, to get us to become sickly.
Okay, has this lady been following Alex Jones or some shit? What the absolute fuck is she railing on about? First of all, yeah, people care about the human race. That's why they're trusting what the studies show, that masks work, that masks are effective in slowing the spread of COVID-19, which is probably why it's a good idea to wear them in public.
Oh man, you Danish scientists, you better stay where you are, because God forbid if Hunter finds you, he's going to tackle you, and I don't know what he's going to do to you, and I have no power to stop him. In case you guys don't know, not too long ago, the scientists over at Denmark have just done a study that fully confirmed that, yeah, all these masks, no matter which one you get, totally ineffective. This is from the Annals of Internal Medicine.
So I'm not sure how these city councilors wanting to mandate public mask wearing has anything to do with hurting the human race. Secondly, lady, you know you can still breathe oxygen while wearing a mask, right?
It's going to be less than the amount of oxygen you normally breathe in.
Does this lady think that, like, if you take a mask and put it on, you're like, oh my god, I was suffocating in there, guys. Holy shit. This is like a plastic bag on the head of a child.
On April 24th of this year, in Lincoln Park, New Jersey, a guy was driving around in his car by himself, and he was wearing an N95 mask, and he basically wore it all day. Therefore, not enough oxygen was being breathed in, which led to him passing out while driving and crashing his car.
You preach pseudoscience and safety. Does anyone care about preserving the liberty of the people who pay your salaries? Some of you are up there smirking and smiling at public comments to which you do not agree. I have the photos.
Well, I'm over here smirking and smiling at you, lady. This literally has nothing to do with your personal liberties. First of all, wearing a mask in public does not hinder any of your personal liberties. You are able to operate and live your life and do whatever you please in public so long as you're wearing a mask.
And that is our main issue. Unless we have a mask, we can't really do anything out in public. Now we have elected officials threatening us with either fines or worse, jail time if we're caught without one, no matter where we are outside of our home. Hell, take a look at England. Some random guy who was just out in the street, he was caught not wearing a mask, and they basically pinned him down and arrested him. And one of my subscribers, who is an Australian resident, he told me stories of what's going on in his country. It ain't pretty either. In fact, it's way worse. Hang in there, AG Wicked.
That is not an infringement on your civil liberties any more than the state mandating you wear clothes. Seriously, why don't we have these same people complaining that you can literally get arrested for walking down the street naked? I can't walk downtown with my dick wiggling everywhere. What is this even America anymore, goddammit?
This is such a stupid argument because it's considered indecent exposure. No one wants to see your crotch.
This entire personal liberties thing when it comes to masks really doesn't make any sense, especially when you realize that we already give up personal liberties for the general safety of the public all the time without any issue. I understand the civil liberties point of view with it for sure, said Dr. Vincent, an epidemiologist, global health specialist, and the chief executive officer at Abacus Pharma International in Miami. He'd called in by phone. I think we sacrifice a lot of our civil liberties in many different ways. He cited severe restrictions when flying, vaccine requirements for children in schools, the mandated wearing of seatbelts, prohibitions on drunk driving.
Because we know already that someone who is heavily intoxicated and is behind the wheel is already a threat to everyone else's lives. When he's driving on the road and he ends up losing control and he crashes into people, killing them. Being outside and doing whatever you do every day outside, not knowing that you're infected because you don't feel the symptoms, is not a threat. How could someone be a threat to someone else via virus when we don't even know if we even have it in our system?
This is, of course, a very good argument. I mean, it's technically an infringement on your civil liberties that the state forces you to wear clothes, that the state forces you to wear a seatbelt, that the state doesn't allow you to drive your car when drunk. There are plenty of ways that we sacrifice our civil liberties for the general health of the public. So this whole argument with the mask thing, it's delusional, it's pathetic, it's stupid.
Why are we so serious about the masks now instead of, I don't know, hundreds of years ago or whenever it was created? If we're that concerned about, protecting ourselves to not get anyone else sick, shouldn't we be wearing it since, day one? What the
They want to throw God's wonderful breathing system out the door. You're all turning your backs on it. Can you prove that it's good for people to breathe carbon dioxide over and over and over again?
Do any of these people have even a general understanding of what it's like to wear a mask? Do they realize that when you can still breathe, you can still pull in oxygen while wearing a mask?
You could also do a lot of disservice to your system via your cells. Since they're not getting enough oxygen as, they usually get, your cells are going to get weak, and therefore your body would get exhausted. Not to mention that it's going to do, a chemical imbalance in your blood, pH-wise. Again, I refer you to my video I did called I'm Done With It, and fast forward to the end of my video where I show you a bonus clip of a registered nurse in the cardiac department who goes into full detail about this.
Secondly, how is this lady claiming that they want to throw out God's wonderful breathing system? Can we not bring religion into this when it has nothing to do with religion? Can we not? I'm pretty sure this has nothing to do with turning your back on God and everything to do with trusting scientists and keeping the country safe and working towards reopening our economy.
But that's the problem. Most of these elected officials don't really follow the science. Take a look at California. My God, they're the worst when it comes to restrictions. The governor has already put in a freaking curfew, and we know how well the people thought that was a great idea. Not to mention that the mayor of LA basically said, cancel everything. And as for the restrictions in businesses, it's not doing very well for small businesses. I just saw a video of a woman who owns a small restaurant. She did everything she could to be, guideline friendly, but unfortunately she was told to shut down. And not far from her outdoor dining area that she set up, there was a big section of just random tents and everything because a local movie studio was, I guess they were gathering up there and they were going to film stuff or have a meeting there. How is that fair to the small business owner? How is it fair? And officials around the country are pointing their fingers at mom and pop shops to say, shut down or we'll punish you. But big chain stores like Walmart or Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, or whatever big name you can think of, you're okay. You could stay open. How is that any different than the small businesses when they sell the same goods and services? Why do they get punished, but the big ones, they're okay? Why?
What about PTSD from child abuse situations? I was left in a hot car. You want to cover my face? I'm going to hyperventilate. Because I remember being stuck in that hot car. What about people like me? We don't matter because of the greater good, right?
It's already advised that if you have any kind of health condition, if you have breathing problems, like this woman says, hyperventilating, then it's not actually recommended that you wear a mask.
And if you live in Lincoln County, Oregon, and you're not white, guess what? You don't have to wear one at all, because it'll be considered racial profiling if a non-white person wears a mask. And as for that health situation, even if you went to a store and you told the manager or an employee that you don't need to wear one because of whatever health condition you have, most of them would still say, get out.
You're removing our freedoms and stomping on our constitutional rights by these communist dictatorship orders.
Wearing a mask, how is that stepping on your constitutional right? How is that stepping on your pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness?
I would not be able to attend a concert unless I have a mask on. I would not be able to shop for groceries in person unless I have a mask on. If I get messed up in an injury and I need to see a doctor right away, so I go to the hospital, I may get kicked out because I'm not wearing a mask.
Masks don't protect the person wearing it from getting COVID. They protect the person who might have COVID from spreading it. So wearing a mask is a decency thing. It's about doing what's best for everyone around you.
Well, then wouldn't it make sense if someone who does not have it don't have to wear a mask, and someone who is sick just in general, be it a cold or, stomach bug, just wear it? That is, if you have to go outside for something instead of just hanging out at home and just rest.
And when you refuse to wear a mask, you're actually putting other people's lives in danger. And by doing so, you are stepping on their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
But how is that possible when I don't even feel the symptoms myself? I'm gonna drink 5 shots of tequila. Oh man, I am totally drunk. I can feel that. I can't feel when the virus gets me. I don't. And if I did, then I would stay home. I would actually rest and try not to do anything.
So no, nobody is taking away your rights. You're not being forced to wear a mask in your own private home. And if you were, I would have a problem with that.
Apparently you don't, because I just looked at your video feed and you haven't posted anything about these government officials telling people to wear masks inside their homes. Like, in Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf wants you to wear one in home. And of course, I must point out again, California being the worst.
But for the state to mandate you wear a mask in public based on the scientific evidence that proves masks help, no, that is not stepping on anyone's constitutional rights.
Too bad these state officials don't really look into the science all that well.
Let's also not forget that there was a massive pandemic in 1918, the Spanish flu, where America mandated you wear masks.
Yeah, the Spanish flu, where it targeted mostly healthy young people. Compare that to the Koofy Coof, which mostly went after mostly old people, especially if they're terminally ill. And as for old Woodrow Wilson, he didn't really do a good job during that time either.
And listen to this, people claiming that wearing masks is tyranny. Cities that passed masking ordinances in the fall of 1918 struggled to enforce them among the small portion of people who rebelled. Common punishments were fines, prison sentences, and having your name printed in the paper. Now, like what happens if you don't wear a mask now? Virtually nothing. People might get mad at you and you might get kicked out of a store because, again, private businesses, they can do what they want.
If that's the case, then how come most of these big businesses tell you to put on a mask? Because the government basically told the big businesses, hey, I'm putting in an order here, so you better abide that, and if you don't, I will punish you.
Back in 1918, in America, people were fined or sent to prison for refusing to wear a mask during the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. Let's also not forget that everybody's favorite, George Washington, went through 2 different pandemics, a yellow fever pandemic and a smallpox epidemic. During these pandemics, George Washington literally forced his men to either quarantine or undergo an inoculation, which is where you expose yourself to a small strain of the virus in hopes of building immunity to the virus. George Washington mandated that for his men. America has mandated masks in the past, and people were punished far more harshly for not wearing masks in the past.
Not too long ago, a woman in Ohio who was checking out her son's sports game at a school got tased and arrested because she wasn't wearing a mask. A guy attending at his local church in Moscow, Idaho, got arrested because he was not wearing a mask. Back in August, 2 women went into a local grocery store in Costa Mesa, California without wearing a mask, and they got arrested. In Salem, Oregon, a guy was heading to his courthouse to dispute a traffic charge, but he didn't wear a mask, and he got arrested!
So for all the people claiming that this is somehow tyranny or something, just shut the fuck up.
Okay, so just, ignore the stuff that I just said earlier. They mean nothing. We're doing fine here now.
Well, there you guys have it, looking at just a few of some of these idiotic COVID-19 morons. Remember, wear a mask, don't be a moron.
No, that's not necessary. Very thoughtful though, but, up yours.
Are we doing this thing? You got it. No, I'm fine. Thank you. No, thank you. I'll be real quick. I got it. We got you. I tell you what, let me do this. Let me pull this away.
Yep, pull away.
And then that way I can take this off the top. Well, I'm more than 10 feet away. I'm not going to talk through it now.